Best behavior, everybody. Okay, hopefully everybody's able to join here. Welcome everybody to Kensington Mine Market's Scotch Malt Whiskey Society of Outturn for November of 2024. Hopefully you are able, or were able to already get your drams poured and in front of you. Tasting order is there just in case you need it. We're starting with Dovetailed marshmallows. Second is Summer Garden Memories. Third is Berrylicious. Fourth is Tawny Garibaldi. Fifth is Al Fresco in the Stun. Sixth is Coastal Quarry Cookout. Seventh is Bacon Butter Butt. We do have Rob and Kelly with us this time around. Rob fresh off the plane, and I mean fresh. He's not feeling so fresh, but he's just gotten back in Calgary.
Probably not smelling so fresh either.
Yeah. But hopefully you guys get everything poured. We'll be doing this the way we usually do, where we do a lightning round at the beginning. First round through, we'll be going through everything blind, just giving you a little bit of details and the tasting notes on the whiskey. Keep some for the second round in your glass on all of them, just so you can revisit them while we do the reveal. For Rob's sake, I'll just say purchase our whiskey calendar tasting series if you haven't already. Info is on our website, but let's dive right in with whiskey number 1, which is called Dovetailed Marshmallows.
This smells just like I hoped it would. It's got this like nice kind of fresh wood.
Super fresh wood.
Yeah, it's still fluffy like marshmallows. There's a nice creaminess to it as well.
Yeah, there's I think what Andrew would call a pillowiness that makes me think of one specific distillery. Although it might not be the distillery I'm thinking of in this case. This spent its life in a second fill ex-bourbon hogshead, 6th of July for the 2nd of July for the Outturn, and 282 bottles from the Outturn, 57.8% alcohol. Yeah, it does have this sort of like fresh floral summery note to it as well for me.
Yeah. There's like a little bit of like nice cheesy note in there. There's like a nice soft cheese, like a whipped cream cheese almost.
Yeah, almost like into like a hard alpine for me, where it's just has that clean cheese note, like with a wash rind, not anything super heavy or funky.
Nice vanilla notes as well.
I'm trying to figure out what that floral note is.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. Maybe a bit of apple blossoms. Definitely some green apple peel in there now for me.
And floral is indistinguishable blossoms, always a good term for it.
That's the WSET term, is indistinguishable blossoms.
Yeah, for both whiskey and wine.
Nice. What happens if you're like me and you can't even spell indistinguishable?
You just have to say it.
Yeah. Assorted works. Yeah.
Assorted blossom. I am looking for water.
It's pretty.
Ooh,
really
yeah.
pretty.
I think this should take the water pretty nicely. Still get a bit of like almost into apples into pears note on the palate. A little bit of wood spice in there as well. The wood's there, but it still remains like juicy along with the spiciness of it. Like it doesn't go super dry on the palate for me.
So I actually get a really strong coffee note in the finish,
nice.
which is interesting because the tasting note mentions tiramisu, which is a coffee flavored dessert, and I get a coffee note in this.
Any nuttiness along with that coffee note?
Not sure about nuttiness, but just reminded me of my morning latte. That's a nice little dram though.
That's very nice.
Yeah, there is a bit of like a roasted note in there, like almost like a tangy roast roasted note, like where it's got acidity as well as that char note.
Mm-hmm.
Bit of minerality as well. Like it's not like super lush. It's a bit more tightly wound, even with water.
Yeah,
I'll get some water.
Just a fresh dram there.
there's some nice red fruit in there as well. I know you mentioned apples, but it's a little bit more summer fruits.
Yeah,
For me, it's really
there's
nice.
stone fruit in there.
There's a shout out to Robin Kelly in the notes here too, where it says on the floor of a carpenter's workshop.
Where?
Is that,
Like we have a workshop.
it's
That's right.
like our office?
Yeah,
Are you custom building furniture to hold all your weight?
that's right. That's right.
Tragically.
No one would want me to build furniture.
Yeah. You guys, there's the what is it called? It's the glass house along Kootenay Lake, where a guy in the 1920s actually made a house entirely out of glass bottles that were cemented together.
Oh yeah, not in person. I've seen it on like TV shows and stuff.
And the bottles are actually apparently were originally embalming fluid bottles.
Ooh.
Yeah. But it just made me think, like, you guys, if you built a glass house with the SMWS bottles, that'd be pretty neat.
Yeah.
That would be neat.
If we had that many bottles to do that, we should be at Betty Ford.
Yeah. We never get through planning and
That's fair enough.
bylaw now.
Very
Okay,
cool.
on to number 2, which is called Summer Garden Memories. A singular cask on this one as well. It spent the entirety of its life in a first fill ex-bourbon hogshead, distilled on the 24th of October, 254 balls from the Outturn 57.6% alcohol. So 0.2% less than the last one.
I love the name on this only because
Mhm.
I'm already having like FOMO that summer is over. I know you people
Yeah.
out east don't know what I'm talking about yet, but it's real over here.
Except for apparently where I live.
Mhm.
Yeah, not Marnie Street. She's still good.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very small microclimate you have there, Marnie.
I only recently realized in looking at the names as we go through that, with the exception of maybe a couple, there's a very strong but accidental summer theme to the names of these.
Yeah.
So I think it was me, just as you say, Harmony, sort of channeling the continuation of summer.
That's right.
Keep it going.
Mind you, I mean, this lineup was put together 4 or 5 months ago.
During
probably.
summer.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, that's cool. It's nice. I mean, it's cool that you get to pick the lineups. Do you get sent like all the bottles and then divide it over the months that are available, or is it, how do you choose? I've had people ask me and I never know. how to-
So we get sent a list every few months from HQ, sort of a master list of here's what we're offering you, and every branch around the world will get slightly different options. And we choose from that list a whole variety of things, obviously different flavor profiles, ages, distilleries, range of things. And then we put together a shipment every couple of months that arrives into Connect, and from whatever's in the warehouse, we build 2 or 3 or 4 months worth of outturns until the next shipment arrives. So this is stuff that would have arrived probably 6 months ago into the warehouse here, that we've created an outturn from. So it's just sort of an ever evolving list of options that comes through from HQ, and we just assemble them based on creating an outturn that has a range of flavor profiles and ages, and something to hopefully please everyone. Sometimes there's accidental themes. Sometimes there's very specific themes depending on time of year, bottle names, if there's something that really makes sense in a certain month. So yeah, sometimes it's serendipity, sometimes it's
Like
not.
Battle Axe for
Mother-in-law Day.
Mother-in-law Day.
Battle Axe, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. was telling someone
This-
that in Edmonton at the festival on Saturday, and they thought that was brilliant. You released Battle Axe on Mother-in-Law Day?
In the month.
That's why it sold out so fast.
Oh, I'd love to be a fly on the wall if you gifted that.
It made me think of you.
This is another
the
lovely
nose on
fresh
this one,
dram.
yeah, definitely summery in style. It's a little bit more lush nose wise for me versus the first one. Not going into as much spice notes or minerality. There's almost like a waxy, like tulip note for it in there as well for me. Some really nice fruits like light apples and even into some dried pear notes on there too.
Yeah, I'm getting like pear and grapefruit skin. And there's this like nice, like sweet honey note that's like on the
Yeah.
nose. It's like
A
a
lovely
waxy
sweet
honey.
note there.
Honey's a good call. Society mentions warm coconut sponge cake right up top. And wild fennel shavings. I could see a little bit of like a fennel or anise on the back end there.
Two great starters. I don't know which I prefer more.
Yeah, they are pretty solid.
Mm. It's like
There's some definite waxiness to this one that I did not get on the first one.
it's like apple juice that's been sweetened.
Yep.
Even more. And you put flower petals in it, but it's like, to me, it's like apple juice, honeys, throwing some citrus skin, and flower petals.
Yeah, almost going into like a white sangria.
Yeah, I was just
style.
saying, like a apple juice sangria.
Yep. Chris says some lovely tropical fruit on the palate. He prefers the second. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with both. I think I would, at this point in time, I prefer number two, but we'll see what happens on the second go through. Let's go on to number three, which is called Berrylicious, which I'm surprised isn't a trademark thing for some type of bubble gum or something like that. This started its life in an ex-bourbon hogshead. Its final cask was a second fill barrique, distilled on the 11th of December. 239 bottles from the Outturn, 52.9% alcohol. A lot more wood and wood spice coming through on the nose versus number two there, probably because of the two casks involved.
Yeah.
A little bit toasty along with those wood notes on the nose.
Yeah, you're getting a little bit more of those like nutty notes you were asking for in the first one that I think you were hoping to come through with. There's a little bit of like a toasted nutty note here.
Yep. There's a bit of dill in there right now too for me.
There is still.
That's
Yeah,
a good call.
I got cilantro right off the top.
Ooh, so yeah, I could see that.
Peanut butter.
Peanut butter, nice.
Yeah.
So creamy or crunchy?
More natural with lots of oils.
Mm-hmm.
Not
the
sort
waxy
of
kind. Yeah.
Yeah, not sort of the mass-produced stuff.
Yeah, like now that you say it, it's almost going into like Jim Beam bourbon territory with those peanut notes.
The berries, though.
Yeah,
Berries. Yeah, the raspberries.
like berry compote with
Some
like
black
many
currant.
types of berries.
Yeah, I agree on the compote note. Like it's like not a super sugary berry. It's more of the reduced down and not even jammy, but just like almost going into
Like
meaty territory with
it
it.
is meaty. Like I thought something was wrong with me because I was trying to figure out what kind of meat this was. Like,
Mhm.
'cause it's so like blueberry bison jerky. Like it's got that kind of heft and weight to the nose. fruit
The
leather.
palette is pretty cool.
Yes.
Maybe it's the second cask there, but it's very much reminding me of like an American single malt in style, but like you're missing a lot of the sweet notes. Like the sweet notes are up front, but it goes dry on the finish.
It's very dry on the finish.
I do get a lot of those, like a banana chip note on the palate though. Even into like a more starchier version, like dried plantains.
Yeah.
Mm.
I ruined Derek. He says now I can only smell dill. Jeremy says fruit leather. I could see fruit leather on the palate, especially for me. There's a tanginess that goes along with this one again too, with the wood notes going through here.
Oh, I prefer it with, I just put 2 drops of water and it really opens it
Ooh.
up for me.
Yeah, I did not. That's what I just did.
I'm gonna try that.
Nice spot, like
Dude.
spice. You got that marshmallow note that reminds me of the first whiskey. But that
Mhm.
dryness of oak turns like more into like dark chocolate.
Cool.
Yeah, I really like this. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of oak influence on this.
I find the berry notes actually come out more on the palate with water too, for me. That's a tasty one.
Mhm. It's very nice.
Okay, let's go on to number 4 for our lightning rounds. Number 4 is called Tawny Garibaldi.
Great
This is from multiple casks. It was matured in a combination of refill and first fill bourbon and PX hogsheads. Distilled on the 11th of December. That was the last one too, I believe. Yes, it was. And it's 880 bottles from the Outturn for this one, 49.8% alcohol. So a little lower ABV wise than the prior.
So you said it's 2 casks, not a finishing cask?
Multiple cask types are
Okay.
listed, so it's not like a primary or secondary cask. In this case, it looks like it's a batch, especially given the Outturn. Yeah. There's some interesting interplay happening between the bourbon and the PX on the nose, where like I'm getting the banana and vanilla notes from the bourbon casks, but there's something like almost like a maple syrup mixed with a chili oil note coming on the nose for me as well.
Yeah, it's kind of like an earthy note.
Yeah. A little bit of like those you get the onion flakes that you just put on top of everything. Like a bit of that dried onion note to it as well.
Dry.
Dry.
They took her voice away. It's dry.
It's dry.
She's practicing for Halloween trick or treating.
For reference, anybody wondering about the name Tawny Garibaldi? So a Garibaldi is a cookie in the UK made with currants. So the reference might be to the flavor of currants.
Garibaldi was also the security officer on Babylon 5, science fiction show from yesteryear. That had one of the best turncoat turns in TV history that I can think of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it is quite dry. Oh, it's got like a nice
That reference was
kick
for
to
you,
it.
Rob.
No, I never watched it.
It's like,
Sorry, Harmony, what were you saying?
I was gonna say there's this really nice spice on the palate, like cinnamon,
Mhm.
toast, and like a kind of like a burnt rye toast with like a cinnamon spread on it.
I'm getting a licorice root.
Licorice.
but root,
Nice.
Root.
yeah.
It's funny, the somewhat significant drop in the ABV is noticeable.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you get so used to these big 55 plus percenters, and then you go to a 49, it's almost thin, the mouthfeel, like compared. I mean, it's unusual that it's under 50%. You don't see that very often.
You know, it's kind of nice to have a little Monday whiskey in the lineup.
Mhm. That's right.
That's right.
I'm still getting on the nose, like there's almost like a gamey spice note to it, but it's still chili oil and almost into like cayenne pepper notes on the nose for me right now. How is it with water?
With
Put
water,
water.
it's nice. It goes into that meaty fruit leather again for me. Those
Yeah.
PX notes really coming through. I think it's like I'm really getting those currant notes, and it's like a chocolate bark with currants and berries toasted into it, maybe blueberries.
I've never nosed one, but this is what it kind of, I imagine a dried out maple syrup barrel or cask would nose like.
Yeah, there's definitely some maple note.
Yeah, there's a little bit more of a,
Mhm.
I don't know, like honeydew wrapped in prosciutto note for me on the palate with water. Still goes a bit more peppery, but there's some juiciness that comes through as well.
Cool. That's a nice dram.
Mhm.
Beautiful.
Okay, let's go on to Al Fresco in the Sun.
Like
Number 5
Ontario.
is called Al Fresco. Sorry, go ahead, Kelly.
Like Ontario today. Al fresco in the sun.
That's right. Who's Al Fresco though? This started its life in an ex-bourbon
Mr. Fresco,
hogsheads.
of course.
Final cask was a first fill PX Ex Bodega Barrique. 12th of May for the distillation dates, 235 bottles from the Outturn, jumping back up in ABV to 56.6%. So the society says things opened up with a rich, thick air of cured and smoked hams and cheeses, sliced Madeira cake and nuts, and with some of them smoky. Like I saw the ham note, and it does have like a rosemary ham note to me right now on the nose. A little bit of cherries coming out underneath that.
It smells like all of the little pieces on a peasant cheese charcuterie board. It has all of it. Like
I don't
Nice.
know if they
It's a
still have
smorgasbord.
those little saucisson sausages,
Mhm.
had them with and without blueberries.
yeah,
Mhm.
Reminds me of the ones with blueberries.
it totally does. Yes.
Yeah, some definite dried cherry and strawberry notes there as well for me right now.
That palette is amazing, and the word in the tasting note that jumps out for me is mentholic. It's
Mhm.
absolutely mentholic.
man.
It just sort of cleared my sinuses and like rub it on my chest if I have a cold. Like, wow.
Even the finish has like you're breathing out like after
Oh.
having like a cherry Halls lozenge.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Oh
Mhm.
wow,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
that's great.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
It even
Oh.
has like that kind of like sugary syrupy texture of like
Yep.
a cough drop.
Yeah, this is the Cures What Ails You dram in the lineup.
But what gets me is like Marnie, I get that sausage, that blueberry sausage note as I'm taking it in. And then everything, all the fruit hits you on the palate.
Yep.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that menthol note with everything is it kind of like lifts everything up too. Makes it almost ethereal on the finish.
Yeah, it's very interesting comparing these two, the one before it to this one, because they have essentially the same cask types.
Okay.
Obviously,
Marty, I think you mentioned, was it some sort of fennel root on the last one? Do you get a bit of fennel on this one? A little bit of licorice on the finish?
Oh, you're talking to me?
Yeah,
Yeah, I said licorice, like black licorice, yeah, for sure.
nice.
Can I go back to it now? Are you talking to me?
That's a cool dram. I think that is the one that's kind of gone on the biggest journey between nose and palate for me so far.
Mm-hmm.
The finish does go into almost a port-like note there as well, with the cough syrup and the lozenges.
interesting.
How's that one with water?
It's fine with water. You lose that menthol note with water, I think.
Mm.
Or I mixed up my drams, but I'm pretty sure.
No, I get where you're going with that. It's there. It almost goes from menthol into like a peppermint with water on the palate for me.
But like not a fun kind of peppermint. It's like the knockoff one you get.
Yep. I like it both ways, but I do like that menthol note on the neat version for sure. Okay, on to number 6. We're going peated now with Coastal Quarry Cookout. And Society did pick the oily and coastal bottle for this one.
Cool.
Which I kind of see, but it does surprise me because the peat's there right off the hop for me. It's not right out in your face, but I would probably say lightly peated for me on this one.
Mustard.
Good
Yeah.
call.
Yeah. But French's, Dijon, Grey Poupon.
I don't know. The Poupon sounds too fancy. I've had Poupon.
You have any Grey Poupon?
Yeah.
God,
It's not the 2 limos asking. It's Garth from Wayne, or Wayne from Wayne's World, asking for it. It's that style of Grey Poupon.
Yeah.
So when we went to Victoria Whiskey Festival last year, a whole bunch of us landed at the airport at the same time. And did we have our car that year? Did you drive out and I flew out? I don't. Yeah, I think we had the car. So Rob picked me up at the Victoria Airport. So, and then Andrew and everybody from Kensington and Calgary flew out at the same time. And VWF always arranges a car to bring people in. So we all leave at the same time. So we're driving into Victoria, and Rob and I stop at this red light, and the car for VWF pulls up next to us, and it's this blacked out, like big Chevy Suburban SUV kind of thing. And the passenger window rolls down, and there's Andrew, and he leans over and he says, "Pardon me, do you have any Grey Poupon?" Brilliant.
Mhm.
Oh God, you have to be a certain age, I think, to appreciate that.
Yeah, but he meant it.
I wish I'd had some.
Because I mean, that's Andrew's kind of style.
Yeah, because he has like cans of Fragua in his pocket. And he's just
That's
staring.
right. That's right.
Exactly. He's got caviar in his office, and
Mhm.
yeah.
Well, I love this like nice sweet peach that it has. It's like
Yeah.
really gentle and comforting, and there's like even this like hint of oiliness on the palate, or on the nose, pardon me. I haven't tried it yet. It's very nice.
Yeah, there's some big like roasted malt notes coming through on the grain side even for me, along with those mustard notes.
That is
You
very
guys get the
interesting that they put
coastalness?
it. Yeah, there is a maritimeness to it, which
Mhm.
will be interesting when we reveal what this is. But
Yeah.
it is interesting that they didn't give this a lightly peated. and put it in oily and coastal? Because I think there's enough peat there, as you say, Evan,
No.
to swing it into the peated category.
Oh, absolutely. there
yeah.
is.
There was one 2 outturns ago that I swear should have been in the peated category that was also in oily and coastal.
Yeah.
Right. And then but
My
then you hear where it's from and it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Well,
My theory
there
is-
is a conspiracy theory at HQ that one of the panel, members puts things in oily and coastal because they don't want them to be as popular as putting them in peated.
That's true.
So there's a bit of a conspiracy theory in terms of how these things are being categorized.
That's funny. I was expecting you to say they're sneaking them into oily and coastal, trying to convert people to peat by like, haha, now you've
Yeah.
tried it and you
Yeah,
love
that's
it.
right.
I don't think they're that sophisticated.
The same thing holds true for the,
SMWS. Sorry, go
same
ahead,
thing
Kelly.
holds true for the spicy and dry category, because it's typically one of the least preferred profiles, and we're not
Yeah.
sure why, but you need to pay attention to it because the tasting panel will often put absolute sleeper hits into the spicy and dry profile that maybe could have gone into the deep, rich, and dried fruits
Wow.
profile. So you need to pay close attention to spicy and dry when it pops up, which isn't all that often, but yeah, the panel can be sneaky that way sometimes. So
So it sounds like golden yellow is the new cobalt blue. When it comes down to it. Speaking of which, I do have a vote that you guys need to remind me to run at the end, and it's not for the favorite dram. It has to do with what your favorite society color is, or what your go-to society color is, just for kicks.
That would be a fun vote because I always assumed when I read the colors that I was going to lean into 2 color categories.
Yeah.
But if you follow my picks, that is not the case.
Yeah.
I surprised myself.
and
Go ahead, Kelly.
I'll tip our hand at the moment that come later next year, the society has revamped the flavor profiles, and they've whittled it down from, some of you may remember a couple of years ago, they sent a survey out to all the members asking about flavor profiles, and nothing really ever came of it. And I actually had a member ask me some months ago about, hey, what happened with that survey? So I went back to HQ and I asked, and they said, oh, yeah, we got a lot of feedback, but we really didn't do anything with it. Well, in fact, they did. And they have revamped them, and they've whittled it down from 12 to 8, and they will be revealed in the UK in April or May to coincide with all the festival releases, and then they will trickle down to the international branches after that. So don't get too involved after how many years of doing this, but if you're going to vote, be mindful that next year they will change.
That sucks. I mean,
Well,
I'm so supportive of change.
People hate change. So there will still be the flavor profiles, and some of them will make more sense because some of these don't make sense, like young and sprightly, those aren't flavors.
Same with old and dignified.
Old and
I was
dignified.
going to say should be the one to go. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, and 3, lightly peated, and heavily peated. Well, that's so subjective. So they've, as I said, taken it from 12, whittled it down to 8, and some of them, one of them has sort of a meaty umami kind of thing going on. So I think they will make more sense than the current 12, but you can watch for that change next year.
Nice. Well, that one was delightful. There was a really cool chalky minerality that came out, especially with water on that one, that I quite enjoyed.
Yeah, I think they should have gone the other way, gone to 24.
Flavor profiles.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It's 100 flavor
Well,
profiles.
have an oily and coastal flavor profile, and then have a coastal and oily profile as well.
Exactly.
That's right. That's right.
That's
Yeah,
exactly.
it's just like when we jumped from 8-bit color on monitors to 16-bit color. We're just gonna get to 16.7 million different colors eventually.
Yeah.
Let's go on to number 7, the final in the lineup. This is called Bacon Butter Butt. It started its life in ex-bourbon hogsheads, plural. Final cast was a first fill Oloroso ex Bodega Butt. 24th of October for the distillation date. 481 bottles from Outturn, 58% alcohol. And
Just
bacon and
remember-
butter just says it all on this one, eh?
Pretty much, yeah.
Butter, but also into white chocolate on the nose for me,
More ham
and
than
buttercream.
bacon. But I guess that is, yeah, how the Brits do bacon. It is more ham.
Seriously, it's like less oily and fatty.
Yeah.
So butter is a must.
That's pretty good. Oh, heavily peated flavor profile in it. I find that to be quite subtle is not the right word, but it doesn't. It's not a punch in the face at all.
Yeah, flavor wise, it's bold, but peat wise, like the peat's there, but it's not just that by any means.
Right.
There's lots of
No, it's
herbal
absolutely not
notes.
just. It's very ashy.
Yeah,
Very.
yeah, I get that ashiness.
Yeah. So if you don't like peat, you're going to struggle with this because the ashiness just sort of hangs in the finish.
There's some really nice like fruit notes in there as well, like and olive oil along with that for me on the palate. Trying to think of the fruit. I think it's like going into poached pear territory.
Mm.
A little bit of blackberries now on the nose.
Oh boy. Yeah,
This
that's
is
big.
an interesting dram.
It does have a
Good.
little bit of that berry lozenge menthol note coming through on the finish there too.
Did you taste this?
I'm gonna add a few drops of water just to see what happens.
I love it in the tasting note. Adding water created a haze of medicinal fog.
Nice.
After she drank 3.
I mean, this
And then
haze
added
of medicinal
water.
fog.
Yeah. That's it. Wasn't that what they said about legalization of marijuana in Canada too? Created a haze of medicinal fog.
That's a good one.
It is.
Water, the bacon notes are still on the nose. It does go a little bit more into like you're grilling onions and mushrooms with the bacon territory. For me as well.
Goes into like dried herbal notes, like herbs,
Mhm.
like almost like your Italian seasoning mix. It's kind of got a little bit of everything, even that like dried lemon zest.
Yeah.
For me.
Tarragon for me right now. That's a killer dram. It's meaty. There's some sherry to it. There's definitely some licorice notes. That ashiness still stays there with water. Very, very nice stuff.
Mm-mm.
There's a touch of farminess on the nose with water, but it still stays relatively clean, peat wise.
A touch of what, sorry?
Farminess, but not like a heavy farminess the way sometimes peated drams can go.
That's really good with water.
I think that's going to be
Tyler
one of
says
the new
reminds-
flavor profiles.
Yeah.
A new flavor profile?
Farmy.
Barnyard?
Farmy.
Farmy?
Oh,
Barney?
please. I would go for it. Tyler says reminds me of those peanut butter filled pretzel bite things from Trader Joe's a few weeks back.
Oh,
Plus the bacon.
I've
Yeah.
never been
Yeah,
there, but
those peanut butter pretzel pillows are pretty tasty. I can see where you're going with that.
Tony heats up like chocolate fudge and like dips the. It's evil.
oh, Trader Joe's is the best.
Yeah, it's a shame they haven't taken over Canada the way Walmart has. Okay, so that was our first round. Before we do the reveal, maybe I'll do the vote now, just for kicks, and then we'll run back through, just because I don't want to forget this. So I did not do all the colors, just because I figured if I put the green ones in there on the first round, it would get all the votes. But I gotta say that for me, the oily and coastal is what made me think of doing this, just because I found that seems to be, if there's an oily and coastal dram in the lineup, I know I'm gonna enjoy it.
Mhm.
Seems to be the way it goes.
Mm.
Harmony, do you have a favorite style?
Me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, um, apparently I do. My tasting, like my picks end up typically on three different ones. Uh, deep, rich, and dried fruits, juicy oak and vanilla, and peated or lightly peated. But
Nice.
that's always where I am. I haven't found myself loving the other ones the same as I do with those. But then again, like as I've learned, you put things in different orders and you feel differently about those whiskeys again.
Absolutely.
So I don't know. Give me a lineup without any of those and we'll see.
Yeah.
See where I
I
land.
was thinking the
Don't think
opposite.
we can
We should
participate.
have like an all young and sprightly lineup or an all oily and coastal lineup. I think that'd be tons of fun.
That'd be cool. Like there have been lineups where we get like a heavy outturn of the similar colors, like shades
Yeah.
of blue or shades of green, but obviously we're not dominating a tasting with one or the other. But yeah, it would be kind of fun. Maybe more of an in-store event kind of attempt at a tasting than a virtual outturn.
Yeah, our Kelowna store asked if we could do an all bourbon outturn. And I said, first of all, we don't have that many bourbons, but second of all,
Yeah.
no, because each outturn has to have a broad spectrum. So if a store wanted to do a deep dive into a
Yeah.
flavor profile or a distillery or sister casks or whatever, then by all means go for it. But yeah, we do get those questions from time to time. But in an outturn, it would be no.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, and bourbon would definitely be a toughie. I like, well, Cam is the one that says it best, I think, is that they all taste the same. Although he's kind of come over to our side of things. Harley and I have enticed them with bourbon and stuff, but bourbon tends to have a narrower profile than Scotch whiskey does when it comes to variety and flavors. Just because of the way it's made. When you put it in a heavily aggressive, heavily charred cask from the outset, you're going to get some similar flavor profiles with everything. So for the breakdown, the deep, rich, and dried fruits took it with 8 votes. Oily and Coastal came in second place with a little bit of sweet, fruity, and mellow, spicy, and sweet. And then for the second vote, where's the greens and the blood red? It's essentially a split between if Pete could be chosen, everybody would choose Pete, which was my the reason I didn't put it in there. And then Old and Dignified is what I aspire to be one day, which I think we all aspire to be that at some point. Good. Glad you guys enjoyed or did the vote there for us. And let's go back and try everything else again. Starting with Dovetailed marshmallows.
Oh, it's like even more creamy marshmallows than it was the first time.
Nice.
I find it so interesting. There's no mention of marshmallows at all in the tasting note, and yet it's all marshmallowy.
They planted the seed. They know what they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, there's just a like, this is a terrible note, but there's a prettiness to this one, where it just, the nose is enticing. It's not like super lush. It's not tightly wound. It's just kind of floats around in there without taking over anything.
That's such a
It almost
beautiful
goes
palate.
into,
Wow.
it almost goes into like sorbet territory where you could use it as a palate cleanser.
Yeah.
That's
That is
beautiful.
That is a beautiful dram. Holy smokes.
Oh, it's showing so well on the second round too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Holding up beautifully.
It has
Yeah.
opened up quite a bit on the palate there.
Yeah,
Derek
it's got
agrees.
some nice juiciness to it.
That lushness that was missing on the first round is all of a sudden there.
Mhm.
Yeah, you mentioned minerality in the first go around, and I don't get that so much anymore.
It's gone. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
agreed. Very, very nice stuff. So, for dovetailed marshmallows. This is from Speyside. Scotch Malt Whiskey Society 55.94. This is the 94th cask from distillery number 55, which is Royal Brackla Distillery. And I believe this is one of the more naked Royal Bracklas we've seen recently. A lot of them have been cask finishes from the ones I recall over the last year or so. Quite like this style. Did we have a 55 last month? I'm trying to remember.
No, I don't think so.
The last one we might have had actually was a bit further back, was the Stages set. That was like
That was lovely.
February-ish, I think.
Spicy and dry flavor profile, I think. Go
Yep.
check it out.
But this one's 9 years old, younger than that one, which was a 16, from the 2nd of July 2014. And yeah, man, does that ever, it was good the first time around, but does that ever benefit from time in the glass? And a great price at $140.99.
Did I put Speyside on the blank on the blind because it's Highland?
Oh
But I
no,
was-
you're right, it is Highland. I was just thinking Speyside. I was wrong.
Okay, no, I'm just always looking for my typos. So
Yeah, I always forget them. I wonder if they actually have it in Malt Whiskey Yearbook as Speyside, or if that's a society thing. I'm probably just wrong. No, Royal Brackla's Highlands according to the Malt Whiskey Yearbook as well. Very nice.
oh, Chris, chocolate creme brulee with red currants, August. Yeah,
Ooh,
yeah, that
Nice.
was a good one too.
and that one, was that just a straight cask? I'm trying to remember.
I think so. I think it was.
Hmm.
It wasn't in one of the rich, red flavor categories. I think it
Yeah.
might have been JOV or the juicy oak and vanilla or spicy and sweet maybe, but yeah, this is delightful.
Yeah, this one is,
Oh,
again,
STR.
I'm surprised at how much it's opened up and evolved over the last half hour or so.
Yep.
Cool. On to number 2.
Oh. This is
Back
gone.
to Summer Garden Memories.
This is like more bubblegum fruit
Yeah.
than the first time round.
Yeah, a little bit more honeyed for me as well.
Yeah. Like
A little
I'm
bit of a
chewing-
hyper ripe. Sorry, go ahead.
I say it's like I'm chewing bubblegum while drinking my white sangria.
Yeah. Specifically like juicy fruit gum right out of the wrapper right now and then it was for me.
Totally.
Has that waxiness to it even?
The minerality note, that lush minerality, it's still there.
No,
And-
more so than, yeah.
Yeah. It's like slightly salty that I didn't get the first
call.
time. No.
Oh man, that's
Oh. It's like the margarita brim kind of.
yeah. It's lush, but it's mellow at the same time in the way it hits your palate and the
Mhm.
finish. Like it lingers, but it's not an attack at all.
Interesting. On the first go around, I liked the second one more than the first, but that's now swapped. I still like the first one better.
Yeah, I think, yeah. The first one's very elegant.
Very
Yeah.
pretty, as
But
evidence.
Yeah.
but for starter whiskeys that suffer from being at the beginning of a tasting, those are two beauties.
Mhm.
Mm.
Yeah, this one I think is maybe a touch more straightforward in what it gives you, but I don't necessarily see that as a bad thing. I think I still prefer number 2.
Fair enough.
Reminds me of one specific distillery, which it is not in this case. I would have, especially on the second go round, would have thought this was Inchmirren. It's got this like pillowy fruit salad note that Inchmirren gives me a lot of the time.
Cool.
But Summer Garden Memories is SMWS number 60.39.
Oh.
And is this the Aberfeldy that I kept on forgetting? Yes.
Yes.
So this is Aberfeldy Distillery. So interesting start of the lineup where we've gone from Royal Brackla to Aberfeldy. It's not almost all the time when you do tastings like this, you go from one Diageo-owned distillery to another Diageo-owned distillery just because they own a third of the distilleries in Scotland, it
Right.
seems like. But this is 2 distilleries that are in the portfolio of John Dewars and Sons, owned by Bacardi International. So Royal Brackla and Aberfeldy, both owned by John Dewars and Sons, both used in the Dewars blend. Both do have official bottlings, but their bottlings kind of play second fiddle to me to the official Craig Ellicky bottlings, which always tend to be good. Aberfeldy's decent. Royal Brackla kind of gets lost in the shuffle, but these are killer drams. This guy is a 10-year-old for 60.39 here, and it is from the 24th of October, 2013. And it is not much more expensive than the last one at $149.99.
I feel like there's a challenge in there to see if we could put together an entirely non-Diageo lineup, which is not a shot at Diageo, don't get me wrong, because the big guys are the big guys because they do a lot of things right. And God, we own shares in Diageo, but so I'm in no way bashing them. But you're right, Evan, because they own so much. I think that would be an interesting challenge to create an Outturn with no Diageo whiskeys in it. So there goes the Kalilas. But yeah.
No.
Okay.
You always
it was
are
not to spoil things, but you were so close in this one to doing it.
Well, so far.
Yeah. Okay, let's go on to Berrylicious.
Oh, that's sweet.
Still toasty though, too, for me.
Where's that candy?
That dill has completely tamed itself down.
Yeah, it's not what's right at the fore anymore, but this is like strawberry jam spread on like a Melba toast cracker right now for me. And maybe just like a touch of Nutella in there.
Yeah, I was gonna say Rob's peanut butter note is still there for me, like that homemade style peanut butter.
How about the coffee? This was the coffee dram too on the palate, was it not?
Not for me. That was the first one.
That,
Oh,
yeah,
sorry,
that was
pardon me.
good.
That was the very first one.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of like a Turkish delight or wine gums note on the palate on this one right now.
Oh, wine gums. Good call.
Those berry notes are actually coming out more for me this time around than it did first time.
Really juicy.
Yeah, that's a good one. So this is Berrylicious is Scotch Malt Whiskey Society 48.171. So that is Belmenic Distillery, if I remember correctly. This is a little bit older than the last two. It's 15 years old from the 11th of December 2008. And yeah, Belmenic is a distillery we've seen a decent amount of from the SMWS over the last few years, especially. It's a distillery that also makes Cowran gin, if I remember correctly. And we don't see any official ballings of Belminic on this side of the pond. But we do see a decent amount from independent bottlers like the Scotch Malt Whiskey Society. So 202 for the price on this one. Chris is saying he's just getting a hint of chocolate there. Is that on the palate or finish there, Chris?
That's a great nose.
I get the chocolate all over on this, but definitely more on the finish for me.
Yeah. Palate into the finish, Chris says. Very nice. Yeah, this like number one, I think this shows better second time around for me. It is opened up very nicely.
I'd be quite happy just to sit and nose the empty glass. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, mine's also empty for some reason. It's usually a good sign of how good the dram is. Let's go on to number 4, which is Tawny Garibaldi.
That's interesting too.
This was the one that I mentioned, those dried onion, like the fried onion skins or something like that. Still get a bit of that on here. Still has a maple syrup note for me as well.
Yeah, but it's sort of a old maple syrup in a way. It's not as sweet.
Yeah. Also almost like a maple syrup with bacon drippings. Like something smoky and salty in there.
There's a blackberry.
Mm-hmm.
Blackcurrant? Blackberry?
Blackcurrant, yeah.
I get cinnamon sticks, like not cinnamon powder, but cinnamon sticks fresh out of their
Out of a
packaging.
little bag, right? Like your bakery bag.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm still getting those like ginger and licorice root notes, like you
Yep.
said, Marnie. It's not full on sweet candy licorice. Pepper. Evan, are you still getting that honeydew?
Was this the honeydew one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a little bit. There's more than just honeydew in there. Like it's almost going into like a papaya note on the palate for me right now.
The palate's going drier than I remember it the first time.
Okay.
Very cool.
Here is the link for Tawny Garibaldi. So this is 14 years old from Speyside. From the 11th of December 2008, and I didn't keep the other one up, but I mentioned that it's the same distillation date as the last one, as Berrylicious, and I believe this is a set of sister casks from Belminic again for this one. 205 is the price on this guy, and this guy was bottled, as you can see on the label there, in celebration of the Spirit of Speyside Whiskey Festival 2024. Kelly commented, I think in the notes to us, that shocking that you would get a whiskey festival bottling in the same year that it was released in the UK over here in Canada.
Never happens.
Yep, that's right. But a really cool way to see the same distillery twice in a little bit of a different style. One being a sort of a batch bottling, and then the other one being a single cask. Both show really, really well. I think I personally prefer the French oak barrique finish, but Tawny Garibaldi is quite nice as well.
Yeah. Just nosing them, you would never know that they're related.
Yeah. Yeah, I never would have picked that up.
No.
In fact, I was saying these were Aberfeldies for like the entirety of last month. Okay, back to number 5, al fresco in the sun.
Oh, let's see if that
Oh, wow.
thing's still going on.
That like dry fruit and
Yeah,
kind of like dusty. It's like Himalayan salt, like,
yeah.
and it's like the salt powder. It's not like the real salt. It's like the
Well,
yes.
this was the menthol on the palate one, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. menthol.
And it almost goes into like those dry, chalky peppermint candies that looked like,
It's still there.
yeah, peppermint candy tablets, bit of chlorets, or no, not chlorets. What's the one in the tin?
Oh,
Dang it.
dang it. Altoids.
Altoids. Thank you,
Thanks,
Derek.
Derek.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is going into that pepperminty Altoid note for me on the nose.
That menthol thing has not
No, it's still
lightened
there.
up at all
It's still
for
there.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I put water in it the first time, I thought it like tapered off, but just sitting here, it's come
Come
back.
back.
Yeah. So if you
Rolling out
ever
of
play
your
with this and you think you lose it, just wait.
Yeah,
Love
that menthol note, like it just kind of lingers. I thought it was going
Yeah.
away and then it came back again. I gotta say, menthol isn't always my favorite thing to get on a dram, but this one just is fantastic.
I love it. I think it's really fun because it's just kind of not what you expect from
Mhm.
a full-bodied, robust Scotch whiskey, and then you get this menthol, sinus clearing, cooling sensation that I just
Yeah.
love because it isn't what you would expect, as you say.
Absolutely. Yeah, and instead of like rubbing Vicks Vapor Rub on your chest,
I'll just do that.
2 fingers of this at night before bed. Yeah,
Yeah. Spray a little up your nose.
yeah, that's
Oh
right.
gosh.
Oh man, the burn.
Dr. Evan is way nicer than
Feel
Dr.
the
Bob.
burn.
Yeah.
Feel the
Yeah.
burn.
I would not make a good
Yeah.
doctor.
All right,
Dr.
you big
Rob always goes
baby.
for the
Just shoot it up your
Doc-
nose. You'll be fine.
that's right.
Get out of my
Yeah.
office.
Dr.
Next.
Yeah. Dr. Rob always goes for the nuclear option. It sounds like.
To blow it up, yeah.
Yeah.
Get rid of the nostril hair
The
too.
Carpenter cruise missile.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, back to the whiskey. Where are we at here?
Reveal.
This makes sense actually after tasting it again. I wasn't paying attention to it as we went through it the first time, but so this is Scotch Malt Whiskey Society 64.150. And that makes it the 150th cask bottled by the SMWS from Manachmore Distillery. And I
Oh,
believe that is the only Diageo distillery in the lineup, unless I'm forgetting something about Belminick. I think Belminick's Inverhouse, if I remember correctly.
Don't know.
So close. So close.
Yeah. So this is 14 years old, from the 12th of May, 2009. And before this, I was kind of lamenting the fact that we haven't seen any just straight naked Manachmores from the society recently, just because I love the fruit salad profile that it gives. But man, this one is really growing on me. That menthol note is just, it kind of just makes everything else sing on that whiskey. 194.99 for the bottle. Yeah, fantastic stuff. And for those of you that are looking for it, here is the link.
It is a sister cask to 64.127 Going Lux from February 2023 and 64.138 Perfect for Tannin from September 2020.
they're triplets.
Yeah, at least.
at least.
Could be the Dion quintuplets by the time, or the septuplets by the time they're done. Yeah.
Very cool. I would have not guessed Manic-More because I'm used to seeing it in the bourbon profile.
Well,
That's
you guys
incredible.
all, Kelly and Harmony and Rob, if you're there, I'll have to ask you guys after the tasting since I won't be there, but I am curious to see how many people pinpoint which distillery it is in this lineup, because the last two I don't think show like the typical from this from their distilleries as well. Let's go on to number 6, which is Coastal Quarry Cookout.
Yeah, I thought that was another summery name, right? Like a cookout.
Yep.
On the beach in the summertime. Like there's a real summer theme happening here.
No, it's a cookout at the quarry.
But the coastal part, I mean, this is a landlocked distillery, so that's why it's just so funny.
What?
I'm tipping
There
around.
have been brands from this distillery that's from the society that have definitely like leaned into the salty edge, but there's some that don't really get it at all, from what I recall too. Holding up a bit nicely. I don't think it's changed a ton
No.
in the glass. Still a lot of bacon and grain in there.
Yes, it's really malty.
Which is a sign of this distillery, in my opinion. So this is Scotch Malt Whiskey Society 66.254. This is a 254th cask of Ardmore that we've seen from the SMWS. I do think the blue on the cap there is just to throw you off. You could say this is oily and coastal, but I think it definitely leans more into the peated side of things than just that.
Chris,
So this
dram of
guy
the night
is-
for me. Wow, look at you, Chris.
So from the 7th of July 2011, this is a 12-year-old and just in a refill ex-bourbon barrel. I don't think this needed anything else too. I just think it shows perfectly with the one cask. And $181.99 for the price. And then Ardmore, of course, is owned by Beam Suntory, or Beam Global, I think they're calling themselves now.
I'll need to go back and check my stats, but I feel like it's been a while since we've seen an Ardmore.
I've been thinking that actually for a few outturns now.
Yeah, it's been a while.
There was a period of about a year and a half where it seemed to be every other outturn, if not almost every outturn.
Yeah. Oh, there's Derek saying none this year yet. Well, there you go. November. Merry Christmas.
Yep. Surprising, but always happy to see an Ardmore in a lineup.
Yep.
And it's a fun distillery because although it does have this sweet cereal driven smoky style, it can show in a lot of different ways. Okay, on to the last but not least of the lineup, bacon butter butt.
It's just gotten even bigger.
Well, bacon and butter will do that to a butt.
Woo. Yep, my butt can tell you all about that.
The nose right now is like you tossed a bunch of spaghetti carbonara into a French onion soup.
Okay.
You guys haven't
Not
been there.
getting that.
It's got this crazy onion note that I am getting all over the place.
I feel like I want to come to your house for dinner some night.
Chris Walker says that's nasty. Don't yuck my yum, Chris.
And smell your Sharpies.
That's right.
I'm still getting that white chocolate note.
Yeah.
It's nice. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a bit of creaminess with the ashiness on the palate there. That's a cool dram. This is one where I think people will have a lot of trouble nailing the distillery. This is Scotch Malt Whiskey Society 10.264, 264th cask of Bunnahabhain from the SMWS. This on the peated side of Bunnahabhain. This is from 24th of October 2013. It's 10 years old. Stylistically, it's a style that Bunnahabhain is labeled Stoisha or Stisha for their heavily peated whiskey from that era. And I've talked about it before. I absolutely love this style of Bunnahabhain. I love that young, peated, oily style that they make. I think it does harken stylistically to being a little bit similar to Kalila, but that's not a bad thing. And this one's a pretty killer dram. I haven't liked, or I typically like Bunnahabhain and ex-bourbon, but the sherry cask spin on this one does it a lot of good, in my opinion. I quite like it.
Yeah.
197.99 and a killer bottle. Wow. That was a really cool outturn. I really like, especially how 1 and 3 really changed over time in the glass. Really got elevated with the time in the glass. And I love how al fresco did not change and kept that menthol note.
The noses are all just so lovely.
Lovely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there wasn't a stinker in the bunch.
Woot.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, if anybody's looking for something to do on Saturday afternoon, come down to the Stampede grounds to Whiskey Global.
Yes.
Big old brand new whiskey festival in town that we'll be appearing at. Kensington is the retail shop sponsoring it. So yeah, Whiskey
Yeah.
Global.
Yeah, it'll be busy, but this is a big festival. There are, I think, 45 plus tables last I heard.
There's 50, so yeah, they've got
Wow.
53 or 54 tables, 2 sessions. There's a 12 to 4 o'clock and then a 6 to 10 o'clock, so super fun day.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, 50 different
Yep.
tables and live music and master classes, food, the whole shebang. So Google Whiskey Global and come on down on Saturday, because
Yeah.
what else are you gonna do on Saturday?
Yeah, we might have to bring our own bottle of al fresco just so we can keep our voices. Use that menthol to cool everything down.
Yeah.
Because if you're coming from the second event, we might all just be talking like this by that time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all for joining us for the virtual outturn. I hope you enjoyed it. I really enjoyed going through that lineup. Thank you to Harmony for co-hosting. Thank you to Marnie for being here as well. Cam, always good to see you as well. And Robin Kelly in the flesh, well, nearly in the flesh, in the same, near the same
You don't
zip
want-
code. Yeah.
Same time zone.
Yeah, we're not
That's right.
doing this tasting unclothed, so no. No,
That'll
no.
be a very special outturn when we end up
No,
doing
no,
that.
no.
Well, thank
Thanks,
you guys.
Devin.
Thank you all for
Yeah.
joining us and have a great night, guys.
Good night.
Night.